Hi everyone, welcome to Comet Computer Private Limited e-learning program. This is the program of Azure Public Cloud Training. Myself, Iran Cherian, Technical Director at Comet Computer Private Limited. In this video, we'll see how to create a Linux virtual machine in Azure. Straight away, we'll move on to the demonstration. So here under virtual machines, we have one virtual machine which we have created in the previous lab. Now I'll add one more virtual machine with Linux operating system. So we can choose the subscription and then the resource group, and we can give a name for the virtual machine. I'll just give the name lin hyphen vm02. So since I'm going to deploy a Linux in this machine, I just gave the name lin vm02, and I'm going to deploy the virtual machine in East US. And operating system, we can choose Red Hat or SUSE or CentOS or whatever. For now, I'm just choosing Ubuntu. For this, I'll just choose a virtual machine with the size 2 virtual CPUs by default. If required, we can change the size. I'll try with a different size now. Maybe I try with this size. So BS1 with one virtual CPU and 1 GB of RAM. Let us see how it performs. Then select. And you can also connect to the Linux machine using SSH. So for that you can use SSH public key. So for generating this SSH public key, you can use SSH key generators like SSH keygen or putty keygen. So using that you can generate the key and then you can type the key here, and also you can type the username whatever you want. I'm just giving the username Comet admin. So this will be the username, and for password you can use the password straight away, or else you can use the SSH key. So for SSH public key, you can generate the SSH key using the PIM file, or you can create a, SSH using puttygen or something like that. So for now I'm just going to use a password. In the later video I'll show you how to create the SSH public key also. Okay, so after configuring the username and password, you can define the public inbound ports. For now, I don't want to use the public inbound ports from here. And then next disk. So I want to configure this virtual machines disk in my existing storage account. And also you can see here by default the disk size is going to be 30 GB. If required, you can change whatever the size you want. So you can choose the size up to 2 terabyte. For now 30 GB is enough for our lab, so that I just leave it default. And also I want to choose standard HDD, and encryption will allow the default encryption. And also I want to use the unmanaged disk, so I just press here no. So use unmanaged disk, I pressed no. And also I have selected the storage account which we have created earlier. Then next networking, and I use the same network which we used earlier. And also I'll choose a different subnet for this Linux virtual machine. Earlier we used SN01, now I'm using SN02. And public IP, a new public IP is getting created. Okay, let it create. And coming to the network security group. See, earlier we created a Windows virtual machine. For that Windows virtual machine, we have already created a network security group with RDP traffic allowed inbound. Since this is the Linux virtual machine for which I need SSH to be allowed inbound, so that instead of using the existing network security group, I'll create a new network security group from here. I'll just press create new. So security groups can be created earlier. Any resource you can create earlier before creating a new resource, or while creating the virtual machine also you can create the resources like storage account or the network security group or whatever it means, whatever you require. I just give the name like this, lab 01 hyphen vnet 01 hyphen nsg02. Earlier we used nsg01, now I'm using nsg02. And you can see the protocol SSH is allowed by default, so that's okay for me. And then press OK. So now a new network security group is getting created for my virtual machine. And accelerated network is by default off, and the rest of the configuration will just leave default. And then press create. So now initially the validation process will complete. Once the validation process is done, so we can create the virtual machine. And you can see the cost of the virtual machine is 0.06 rupees. Earlier for Windows virtual machine we saw it was 6 rupees, and even the size of the virtual machine was different. And for this size you can see the cost is very low. So the deployment is underway. We'll wait for a while. So the deployment is taking some more time. We'll just wait and watch. So now the deployment is done. So we can proceed, and I can just press go to resource. So it will take you to the virtual machine. So now you can see the virtual machine is in running state, and this is the public IP of the virtual machine. And this is the operating system which is running in, and this is the size of the virtual machine. Okay, so for now our target is done. So just creating the Linux virtual machine is about our demonstration today. So we have created, and in the next video we will explore the Linux virtual machine further. We will connect and explore the Linux virtual machine. Until then, bye bye.